Well, hello again.
Hello.
Um, Today I thought we could work using the GROW model.
Okay.
Are you familiar with GROW?
No.
Okay. Well, GROW stands for goals,
Okay, I'll just write that down.
okay,
Yeah.
reality,
Yeah.
options,
Mhm.
and will.
Okay.
So the goals are about the goals perhaps for this session,
Okay.
but we might need to think about your longer term goals as well. The reality is like kind of checking your goals against your current situation to sort of see how realistic is your goal. I mean, you could say you want to fly to the moon, but do you have a rocket?
No.
No. Or a budget?
No.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
So that it has to be kind of scaled according to your current situation,
Okay.
so that we develop something that's realistic and achievable.
Yeah.
And then we start thinking about what your options might be, and then we think about your motivations and your willpower and the way in which you might move it forward. How committed are you to this, for example?
Okay.
So here we are with a clear desk, and I'm just wondering what it is you would like to focus your attention on today.
So I think I'd like to focus my attention on some of the things we talked about last time
Okay,
and growing and developing through my career.
okay, all right. So if we were to think first of all about this in terms of a goal,
Okay.
what would be your goal for your career, say, in the next 3 years? Where would you like to be in the next 3 years?
Potentially a role with more responsibility, looking at perhaps teaching, coaching role.
Mhm.
So the same as what I'm doing now, but just developing more along the coaching, teaching route, which probably links to a management role.
Okay, right. So in 3 years' time, you'd like to be in a management role with the same organisation?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So that's your longer term goal.
Mhm.
In terms of this session, what would you hope to achieve? Let's kind of wind the clock forward and say this session is just coming to an end in about half an hour, 45 minutes time. What would you like to have achieved?
A practical step to be able to leave here and go and do,
Right.
which will set me on the journey for looking at development in order to achieve my 3-year goal. So
Okay.
I'd like to leave here with at least one practical thing that I can go away and do.
Right. One practical step that you could take,
Yes.
which would move you towards that 3-year goal of you achieving a managerial position.
Yes.
Okay. That's good. Your goal sounds quite clear for 3 years' time.
Okay.
And the goal of this session is very clear, that you want to leave with a minimum of one step towards your goal.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's happening now? Where are you now?
So well, a lot's changed since the last time we had a conversation at work.
Yeah.
So the last conversation we had, I talked about feeling kind of stuck in a rut in my role.
Yes, you did.
But I've actually been offered a managerial position.
Right.
Which is fantastic. It seems like I've achieved everything that I'd like to achieve.
Right.
But then what's happened with my current contract is that there's some negotiation about whether we'll be remaining with the company that I work for, and whether the role that I am currently in will still be available at the position. That doesn't make any sense. The role that I'm currently doing, whether it will still exist.
Right. Okay. Tell me a bit more about that. I'm not all that clear. I don't understand
Okay.
that.
So my company's contract was put out for tender.
Right.
And we lost the tender.
Okay. So tell me, you work at a particular organisation, but you're contracted and employed by somebody else.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right. Okay.
And the tender goes up every 3 years, and other companies have the opportunity to bid for it. So
Right.
what's happening with myself at the moment is that if I do nothing, my contract will remain, and I will just start working for the company that has won the tender. But I'm not sure whether that's what I would like. I'm also not sure if the role that I've been offered will remain as it is. And if I remain with my current employer and I move off with them, do I have the qualifications to continue doing the role that I'm currently doing, or indeed create a new career path for myself? I don't think I do. So I think that's kind of where I am now.
Okay. So there's negotiations going on at the moment, are there?
In terms of our tender, that's been negotiated.
Right.
As far as I'm aware, there will be a meeting next week to look at seeing if they can hang on to some of the things that they've already got in the potentially have a separate tender agreement with my employer, which would be separate from the other organisations that our contract covers.
Right.
But again, I don't really want to try and focus too much on that because that's out of my control. I can't do anything about whether they have these conversations or not.
Right.
I'd like to be able to be practical and think clearly about what I want and what's right for me.
Right. So currently there's negotiations going on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of uncertainty for you.
Yes, lots.
Okay. So that's the reality for you at the moment.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah.
So your goal is to achieve in the longer term this managerial position. It has been offered.
Yes.
But the company that is offering it to you no longer has the tender.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's completely correct, yeah.
Right. But of course, under UK law, the company that does win the tender has to continue to employ you.
They do.
And your contract will change with them.
Yes.
Right.
But equally, the role that I currently would like or have been offered may not be the same. So my responsibilities might not be the same. The coaching and teaching part of it, which is the thing that interests me, might not even be there.
Right.
Yes, it will have to remain a management post, but whether I have anybody to manage or anything to manage is, yet to be seen.
Yet to be sorted out. Okay. When we spoke last time, you were working on sourcing some courses.
Yes.
Yeah. How did that go?
Really well. So I'm halfway through an online coaching course.
Mm-hmm.
I did look at going to a 2-day mentoring and coaching exhibition in Leeds, but actually it looks like they're not really the organisation that I think I'd be interested in learning from.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, as I said, I'm halfway through this online qualification. At the end of that, there's kind of follow-on steps and things that you can do. So there are more online courses attached to it.
Okay. So you made good progress on that.
Yeah.
So that's good. Okay. So from the last session, you've made some progress. You're halfway through a course. You've sourced it and you've started doing it, which is good because you said you wanted to get some more qualifications. Yeah. And the situation with your manager, which you had a challenge with last time we spoke, where are you with that?
Well, that resolved itself quite nicely because he resigned.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that was easily resolved.
So he's gone.
Yeah. So
he clearly wasn't very happy.
No, exactly.
Right.
My manager resigned, which then left the management post available for myself to be promoted to.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, well, that's interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So, the current situation is that there's quite a lot of change and turmoil, and you don't really know what's happening, and a lot of things are out of your control.
Yes.
Okay. So, what is it you can control in this situation?
The practical steps that I can take to secure myself and what I want. I think the water's a little muddied for what I want. I think that's probably my problem at the moment.
Right.
In order to take practical steps towards what I want, I need to know what I want.
Okay. So what's muddied the waters?
The fact that the uncertainty of what the new company who would be taking over our tender would do.
Right.
And what my role would look like. So in terms of me making a decision as to moving forward with this new company or remaining with my current company, I don't have any options they haven't put anything on the table yet.
Right.
It's almost like with my company that I'm currently employed by, I almost put myself out to tender, if you like. So hello, anybody want me? what can you offer me?
All right. So there's like two things going on here.
Mm.
One is there's likely to be negotiations with the new company that's won the tender.
Yes.
And the other is negotiations with the company that already employ you as to what other things you can do,
Yes.
which would mean you moving away from where the site that you're currently
Yeah.
working on.
Exactly.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there are two things there.
Yeah.
Two options, if you like. One is, well, there's three, I think.
Okay.
One is sit tight and wait,
Okay.
or sit tight and wait but use your influence.
Okay.
Okay. The other option is to explore possibilities with your current employer.
Mm-hmm.
What's that look like?
To be honest, it doesn't really look like anything, I don't think, because we are the only site in this city.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of just a direct transfer to another site isn't an option.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think it is get in touch perhaps through my new manager,
Mm-hmm.
and say this is what I've done for the last 4 years. These are my skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody need that? What can you offer me? What can you put together?
Is this within your current employer?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Because I don't think there's a like for like role.
No.
And I have very little interest in taking a career step backwards.
Because you've actually created this role yourself with
Yeah.
your own energy and dynamism. That's what's happened. Yeah. So it's quite unique.
Yes.
Okay. So there's the company that currently employs you and having conversation with them about what else you might do and where you might do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's possibly option number 2. Possibly option number 3 is to open talks with this new company.
Yes.
So what does that look like?
There's a period of standstill.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's until the end of the month, so that's not very far away.
Oh, this is legally there's a period of standstill.
I don't know whether it's legal.
Right.
It's what we've been told is that there's no discussion. We don't start looking at contracts or introducing ourselves or arranging meetings until this period of standstill and no communication has passed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure why that is, whether it's so that kind of procurement can do what they need to do.
I think they call it a cooling off period.
Right, okay.
Okay.
But you see, my site is so unique, it's non-comparable to all the others that are around the country.
Right.
So they might be fantastic elsewhere. I just don't think it'll work where we are.
Mm.
I don't think they have the skills. I don't know very much about the company, so perhaps I need to do some research.
Right. So that could be one thing that you could do, is research the company that's won the tender.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other options? So we've talked about 3 main options. One is keep your head down, try to exercise some influence. That's one. The other is to open discussions with your current employer about what else there might be for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the third is but you have to wait, of course, to the cooling off period. Have discussions with the people that have won the contract.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else could there be as an option for you?
I suppose I could look for work completely elsewhere. So look at roles similar to what I do, just not there.
Right.
So
that's another option.
Yeah.
Another option is to be looking elsewhere for a similar role.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what's the chances of that? What does that look like? Have you done anything already on that?
After our last discussion, I did have a look at other roles that were comparable to mine, and where they were and what kind of roles there are. And there seem to be quite a few interesting ones working with within community groups. There's some kind of, they're called health and wellbeing consultants roles. A lot of them seem to be part-time or on an hourly basis,
right?
Which potentially could work. I suppose I need to look need to look in more detail into them.
hmm
They seem very interesting roles. They seem very similar to what I've been doing. There doesn't seem to be any reason why I don't have the skill set or the experience to apply for them.
Right.
It's just whether they're full-time roles.
Okay. Perhaps you could explain what you see as the options that are in front of you now.
Okay. So I think the first one is do nothing,
Mhm.
sit tight, keep my head down, and perhaps exercise some influence if I can kind of put that together in a sensible way. Number two would be to research the new contract holder and perhaps after the cooling off period have conversations with them about what their vision is. Number three would be to have discussions with my current employer and see what's available through them. But also maybe through them have a look myself for any vacancies there that are available and that I think I have a skill set for. I think is that all the kind of things that we've...
Yeah, that sounds like a good summary. Okay.
Yeah.
So the big question now is which one are you going to work on? Which one's going to be your priority?
I think I'll have to do two things from that list.
Right.
Which would be the most sensible. I think business as usual, keeping my head down and continuing to prove what a good job I do is good. But at the same time, I think it would be wise to kind of get in touch with my current employer and say, hey, what else is there? Where else could you put me?
Okay, so they're the two. One is keep your head down, do your job, continue being professional, but try to exercise some influence. The other is explore with your current employer as to what you might go forward with.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it possible to take those two options together?
Yeah, I don't see why not. At this moment in time, I have to do my job. The contract's not up for another 4 months, so I have to continue to work hard and do all of those things.
Okay.
I think my challenge is going to be to not get too emotionally worked up whilst trying to do my job and trying not to go round and influence too many people, because actually that's probably not going to be helpful for anybody.
Okay, then. So let's take the influence choice. Okay. Because as you said, you don't want to go around influencing everybody that you would bump into in the corridors.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be more strategic than that.
Yeah.
Focused. Okay. So if you were to take that option, what do you think might happen? What would be the consequences? Who would you be talking to?
I think I need to think very carefully about that and who I would have any influence on, and B, whether that influence can move higher and actually have any effect on contractual decisions.
So who are your contacts that you have that could be of influence for you, advocates for you?
So I think first of all, I know that there is a meeting next week, as I know that they're having a meeting about it. They're discussing what it's going to look like moving forward in real terms.
Right. So when is this meeting?
That's on Monday.
Monday?
So, yeah.
Okay. So you've got a few days to think about how you're going to influence that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's the key player in that meeting?
So the person who was in charge of our tender.
Right. And
So
what
he's
access do you
going
have
to
to him?
Well, I see him all the time. He's written some very, very nice, helpful, supportive emails and various things for us in the past.
So he's on your side?
Yes, definitely. I think the thing that I have to be careful of here is that him being on my side got anything to do with anything he can do. Does that make sense? Because I know he likes me.
Say a bit more.
I know they all like me as a person and they like me professionally in what I do. But is that enough for them to look at their huge company and say, we're going to stick our neck out for this?
Right.
Because I'm just one person.
Right.
In a route of 3,000.
So you suspect there might be some political things here?
Yes.
Okay. How are you going to gauge that?
I mean, perhaps it's just being present in the meeting and listening
Could you be present in the meeting?
Oh yes, I'm invited.
Are you?
I am, yeah. But I feel a little bit. Well, I've been questioning whether it's appropriate for me to be there or not, because will my presence affect the way the conversation goes?
Okay, I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Is if you're not there, you have no influence.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any influence over the agenda?
No.
Right. Do you know what the agenda is?
It's to discuss this.
Right. Is that it?
Yeah.
One item.
Yeah, for an hour.
Okay. You got 1 hour. There's one item to be discussed. So, how do you think this meeting might pan out? What might be your function? You've been invited.
I mean, I'm wondering whether it will start with oh, we're all so terribly sorry, and a whole lot of kind of get everybody getting things off their chest. And I really want to try and steer myself away from that. I think it's not helpful. I've done it already. I've had a conversation with my manager. I've got everything off, being cross, being disappointed, all of that kind of stuff. I think perhaps I need to go prepared. I need to go with these are the things that us not having the contract anymore are going to directly affect.
Right. Okay. So there's a good chance in this meeting that they will ask for your comments.
Yes, I'm sure.
There's a good chance that they'll give you 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what are you going to say to have an impact in that 5 minutes? Oh, this is terrible, this is awful, or are you going to say something else?
I'd like to say something else. I think everybody knows it's terrible.
Okay, so you want to move away from it's terrible, this is awful, and what is it you want to say?
I need to present to them a picture of what it's going to look like.
Right, okay. So what's that? What is it going to look like?
That what we've built for the last 3 years is likely to stop.
Right.
And that their vision of safety for the future, which spans across over 3,000 employees, directly, it's written down, includes the work that I do. And that without the contract that I currently have and the people that currently employ me, I won't be able to offer them. I won't be able to do those things anymore.
What's the evidence you've got for that?
One of the programs that we offer is called a Fit to Work program, and that involves people coming to see me on a one-to-one referral, and we start the appointment with what we call a health MOT, and that involves taking just a little pinprick at the end of the finger, and we do bloods, as well as various other things. Now, that me being qualified to do that is just with my current employer.
Right.
So when I'm no longer with them anymore, I will not be able to offer their staff a free health MOT.
Right.
So that's the first actual thing that won't
because
happen
your
anymore.
current employer accredit you to do this job. They've
Exactly.
trained you and they credit you, that's fine, but this new employer won't have that.
No, and they also don't have the equipment because they don't offer that.
Okay, so there's two really important things. One is your qualification doesn't transfer. The other is, therefore, it can't be done. Secondly, they don't have the equipment.
Yeah. So we won't be allowed to use what we have on site now.
No.
That will go when the contract goes.
Yeah.
And the other lot won't be bringing in a new lot.
Because they don't have access to it.
Yeah, but they don't. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what else is evidence?
I'm just writing that down so I don't forget. So the company that I'm employed by now have an awful lot of influence and a very, very good reputation in terms of healthcare and in terms of people's well-being. Standing in front of groups of people without that name on my shirt, if you like, I think will remove the validity and of the information that I'm saying. And
so the people that have got the tender have no track record at all in health and well-being.
Exactly.
Right.
They do in gym care,
right,
but nothing in health and well-being.
Okay, so that's another important point.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you get from your? What else does the company that are buying the services get from your current employer?
So all staff get access to everything else that we provide nationwide, with no waiting lists, reduced costs, things like membership. They get it for almost half price. All of that will stop
Okay.
too.
That's another important point.
Uh-huh.
I think what we're actually talking here, if I can make a suggestion,
Yeah.
what we're actually talking about here is the benefits of the contract that they've currently got with
Yeah.
your employer. And all those benefits will go
Hmm.
because the other employer, the people that have won the tender, do not have these things. They just don't. They don't have the experience, they don't have the track record, they don't have the reputation, and they don't have any of this equipment or backup or support or anything.
Hmm. Yeah.
So presumably you can draw on expertise within your wider company.
Of course. So, I'm almost...
So they wouldn't get that.
No. What I'd like to try and emphasise is one of the reasons I'm good at my job is because I can draw on the information and support from consultants.
You have backup.
Exactly.
Right. So we've got a package here.
Okay. I'll write that down.
And they are benefits.
Yes, hundreds of them.
Yeah. Okay. So the meeting is happening.
Mm-hmm.
You're given your 5 minutes. How are you going to be? Visualize it.
I'd like to be very positive.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as I said before, we've done the whole, isn't this terrible?
Yeah. So
and
no
that's not
weeping and
helpful.
wailing.
No, that's not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to make sure that I kind of like we've listed here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mudslinging.
No, exactly.
I'm just being specific.
Yes, but so how are you going to do that then? How are you going to make sure you're not slinging mud at the people that have just won the tender or the people that have handed it to them or anything else like that?
Good question. I don't know. Perhaps it goes back to what we said before as one of my goals for moving forward from today would be researching the people who have won the tender so that I know a little bit more about them. I mean, I know various bits, but perhaps looking at saying the things that they can do and comparing. I don't know, would that be an option, a like for like comparison? So they do X, Y, Z, we do A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I,
and what you do fits with the plan that the person that buys the company that buys the services have put in place.
Yes.
Whereas what they seem to have purchased doesn't.
Yes. So everything that we currently do fits their safety wheel, their safety model moving forward for the next 5 years.
Okay. The safety wheel is something that they've created.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
So it's theirs.
Yeah, it's their vision.
Okay.
For their employees.
Can I suggest you start there?
Okay. Yep.
You start with what they're familiar with. And then I suggest you highlight that with what it is that your current employer and you offer in that safety wheel.
Okay.
And no slinging mud about anybody else, just one sentence, and the new company don't.
I suppose that just says it all, doesn't it? Just writing that down. I suppose I could present all this fabulous stuff and then just end with that sentence. And the new company don't.
Do you have to say any more?
No.
Okay, sum up. Where are we?
Okay, so in terms of my influence, I'm going to go prepared for this meeting. I'm going to make sure I get these things put together. I might even do a PowerPoint because I always like a PowerPoint.
Okay.
Start with the wheel.
Just to let somebody know that you're making a PowerPoint?
No.
Right, okay.
It's fine, because if they say, which they will do, Fran, 10 minutes,
okay,
then I'll just crack on.
Right.
I'm going to draw their attention to the vision that they've created and the points that they directly link with the work that I'm doing. And then from that, lead on to the benefits and the package that we give. and I give,
hmm
and then at the end just finish saying
hmm
and then the new company don't.
hmm
But then
Mhm.
also being ready to answer questions.
Okay, good. Can you do that?
Yes.
Is that going to resolve the immediate issue, which is, you said at the beginning that you wanted to have a clear step and clarity about the next step for you towards your 3-year idea of being a manager. Okay.
I think we kind of said, didn't we, that out of my list of kind of 4 or 5 things, there's 2 that will need to kind of happen simultaneously.
Mhm.
And I think this meeting, being prepared, being calm, having all my things in order, will help with the influence. I think we called it keeping your head down and exercising influence.
Yes, yes.
That'll be a step towards that. I think what I then need to make sure that I do after this meeting is not do what you said, which is try and influence everybody I pass in the corridor on the way out of the meeting. I think after the meeting, I need to think very carefully about whether that's enough,
Right.
whether I've exercised influence enough.
Right.
Um,
So first step is this meeting that you've got on Monday.
yes,
Okay. And are you clear about how you're going to be and what you're going to do?
yes,
Okay. Is that what you're going to do?
yes.
Okay. So you've said yes quite a few times here.
Okay.
Yes can mean lots of things.
All right.
From, I'll say yes to just shut my coach up for a bit
Okay.
because I want to get out of the room,
Right.
or that's a 1 over my dead body. This is never going to happen.
Okay.
Through to 10, I'm totally committed to this. What are you?
I'm totally committed to it.
You're a 10.
Yes.
Okay.
The meeting is a proactive step.
Yes.
Which is what I started the session saying I wanted.
Okay.
It's something I can prepare for tomorrow.
Okay.
And I think the preparation part of that will help organise some of my thoughts, which is also something I said I needed some clarity to dig through.
Yes.
And at the end of the meeting, I will then know by kind of how the meeting is summarised whether I need to exercise influence anywhere else.
Okay. Okay. Right. So what will tell you that you've made progress?
Perhaps an email from somebody to say, thank you for this information.
Right.
It's been noted and this is what we're going to do with it.
Okay. So some kind of feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And an email might be part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else before we close?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck on Monday.
Thank you.
Okay.